Alright, guys. It is Thursday, September 7th, 2023 at 8:53 p.m. Alright, let's begin with a Bible verse from dailyverses.net. It says, "You need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what He has promised." Hebrews 10, verse 36. Alright, guys, let's start with looking at Hurricane Lee. This is Hurricane Lee out in the Atlantic right now. As you see, a formed eye. It is pretty much a very strong hurricane right now. Let's take a look at National Hurricane Center. Here's Lee, and here's Margot, on the more closer to African side. But Lee right now is a hurricane with 130 miles an hour winds, minimal central pressure of 953 millibars, located at 16.9 north and 51.3 west, movement west-northwest at 13 knots or 50 miles an hour. Let's take a look at the key messages for Hurricane Lee. It says Lee has become a major hurricane and further strengthening is expected, with its core moving north of the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico this weekend and early next week. Dangerous surf and life-threatening rip currents are likely in the northern Leeward Islands beginning on Friday. These conditions will spread westward, affecting Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and the Turks and Caicos, and the Bahamas throughout the weekend. Dangerous surf and rip currents are expected along most of the U.S. East Coast beginning on Sunday. Please consult products for your local weather office for more information. Alright, now let's take a look at the map so you can see the magnitude that Hurricane Lee will be a major hurricane all the way up till 2 p.m. Tuesday, as it is over Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic as a major hurricane. Then it could start beginning to veer northward. That's one thing that I've been talking about. It could turn north, but let's take a look at this post. Okay, so this is from Eric Burris. He says, "This, my friends, is why I keep saying that the curve north away from Florida isn't set in stone. Things that far out can change, so we have to be watchful of Hurricane Lee." This is from the 5 p.m. discussion of Hurricane Lee from the National Hurricane Center. It says there is uncertainty in any northward turns to Lee beginning early next week, but it is too soon to speculate about the specific potential impacts a week or more out. So please pray about Hurricane Lee turning northward and possibly avoiding Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, and the whole East Coast. Please pray, take it to God, that He please turn the storm away from the land and from the people. We don't know 100% how much it will turn, but the National Hurricane Center here is saying there is uncertainty in any northward turn of Lee beginning early next week, but it is too soon to speculate about specific potential impacts a week or more out. So it's still too far out to start speculating about if it will possibly turn. Just pray about it. Hopefully it will turn. Hopefully it will turn away from the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and the Bahamas, and it won't tear up the island. Alright, here is the satellite image of Lee as it is going northwestward up in latitude. So hopefully it continues going up and it avoids the Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Virgin Islands altogether. Alright. Let's take a look at possible tracking models. This is Hurricane Lee model tracking guidance. They're saying it's going to be going northward and then make northwestward and then make a turn more northward once it passes Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, so it does not affect Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, and the East Coast. Hopefully it makes that turn, but we're not sure, so we are praying that it turns. Alright, guys. This is Hurricane Lee model intensity guidance. they're saying that it could turn into a Category 4 or 5 hurricane, and then later, as it traverses, it could possibly get weaker, but we don't know. These are the spaghetti models. They're saying it might get stronger. Some are saying it could get weaker, as you see here in the red. But we don't know yet, so let's pray that it gets weaker and it falls apart and it doesn't affect much of the land, the mainland. Much of the Bahamas, parts of Florida, and the eastern seaboard. Alright guys, these are the water temperatures. 84 degrees, 86 degrees out there in the Atlantic. So it is warm enough to strengthen a storm. Anything above 70 something is basically jet fuel for a hurricane. So as you see, it's basically 80 something, 85, 84, 80s, 86, 84, all over the place here. The Gulf is 87, 86s. Below Cuba is 86, 85. Below Dominican Republic is 84. In front of Puerto Rico is 84. So it's pretty much just very warm. And that could mean it is very much fuel for a hurricane if it gets close to it. Alright. Let's see. Let's go to my Space River News community tab. This is where I tell everybody to go to community tab, because the community tab I have the majority of the stories that I share. If you want to find out something, I probably posted it here before I make a video about it. So check out the community tab. Alright, Texas Power Grid declared an emergency. Texas Power Grid has been fluctuating. They've been giving warnings for people to not use as much power, because the grid is pretty much on the verge of doing blackouts, rolling blackouts, to be able to try and control the power grid, but it pretty much is close to having emergency due to too much power being used at one time and not enough power being produced to sustain it. Alright guys, an image here of Lee getting closer to the Caribbean. As you see here, Texas avoids rolling blackouts during evening grid emergency. They just posted that ERCOT has called the generators to push all available electricity to the grid as rising demand threatens to surpass the state's power supply. If that fails, rolling blackouts are likely to begin. So that's what I'm talking about. They're pretty much not having enough electricity in the grid, and too much is being used. Alright. As well as 2 Doomsday planes airborne. Check out this link for New York Prepper. He's a great person who does great videos. He's always on point when there's any weird news about airplanes, possibly in the airspace. He'll always cover it. Alright. And we have Grand Supreme News talking about major concern about the North Koreans having their first submarine with nuclear-powered weapons on it. Really, really scary stuff, guys. Please pray that we get saved from them. Alright, also, I have this prophetic word, 9723, another warning. Check out that video. If you need to get right with God and talk about, God and everything, get on that video and watch it. Get right with God. We're getting so close to the rapture time. We don't know how long we'll have, and you need to get right with God. So get right with God. Alright, also, let's get real about this. Watchman River. I always share his videos. He's got such great news. And then, as I was talking earlier, I made a video about it. The new CDC guidance says that 93% of the country should be wearing masks. So, apparently, as you see here in the little White House podium, they were saying that the new CDC guidance doesn't mean it's a mandate, it's just the guidance, saying that the 93% of the country should be wearing masks now. And I'm saying, no, 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 my friend. Alright, guys. Let's see what else. Pentagon canceled a hypersonic missile. So the Pentagon was testing a hypersonic missile, I think in the Florida Peninsula. And the Pentagon canceled it. They canceled the missile launch. So they usually don't have good good test runs with hypersonic missiles. Alright, this video from the Poplar Report. He's got great news when it comes to food. Food recalls, anything like that. He's saying that a whole bunch of chicken has plastic, and they're having a food recall at Walmart. So check out that video on my community tab. And here is for Friday. Today is Thursday. Friday we have possibility of marginal weather here over Louisiana and Texas, as well as slight weather over Louisiana and Texas and parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma, as well as slight weather over Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, parts of Massachusetts, Vermont, Connecticut, and Maine. So please be weather aware tomorrow. Alright, guys. This is from Swift Passage Ministry. He said Canary Islands are hit by 10 earthquakes in the past 24 hours. So the Canary Islands still rumbling in their earthquakes. So please pray that they are not stricken by something large and that everything is okay. Alright, guys, that's it for this video. Hit like and subscribe for more news. See you guys next time. Stay prayed up. Make sure you check out the videos that I mentioned in the community tab, especially the one about getting right with Jesus. Alright, guys, see you guys next time. God bless.